In this video we're going to demonstrate the most basic of search patterns on the Mavic 3 Enterprise series. The first thing we do is touch on the flight route, and then towards the top touch on the plus and select Create Route. From there touch Waypoint Route, then Set Waypoints, and we've opened up the area where we can generate a route to fly. The first thing I'm going to do is remove the menu off to the right hand side, and there's a set of chevrons towards the middle and the top. Just touch on those and that gives us larger access to the map. We're at Umina Beach and I'm just going to drop a start point here, and just to give you some information, we're going to use Pythagoras' theorem, and we're going to use the 3, 4, 5 triangle as our basis. So just to show you, if I touch a waypoint up here and make that 400 meters, and then come offshore 300 meters. When I touch a waypoint near the start point, you can see that distance is close to 500 meters. So that's how we're generating our search patterns. So I'll just remove those waypoints, and there's a little garbage bin icon off to the side. So I've got my start point, and we want to make that above the high tide mark if we're away from the location and generating the pattern, or if we're at the location you can put the start point where you wish. I'm then going to drop a waypoint approximately 50 meters offshore, and I'm going to start building my pattern. So come up here. I'm going to make this first leg 370 meters. Now, even though we discussed Pythagoras using the 3, 4, 5 triangle, because we're generating a route manually and it's likely to have a few errors, and we don't want to exceed the 500 meters, I'm just going to make it 370 meters along the shore. And then my next waypoint I'm going to make it 50 meters offshore. I'm then going to come down paralleling that initial mark and make this leg 740 meters, and making it parallel to the flight from waypoint 2 to waypoint 3. And then drop another waypoint, make it 50 meters again. We're using 50 meter track spacing. And then we're going to continue to repeat that process. The important thing is to make sure the lines are parallel and that you don't creep too far away from the 740 meters. So I've got waypoint 13 there. I'll just delete that to start with. We're at waypoint 12, and this is the furthest corner in our triangle. And to ensure that we don't exceed the 500 meters, I'm just going to drop a waypoint behind the start point. And you can see it's 494 meters at least from our start point. So we know that we're not going to exceed our 500 meter limit. I'll just put waypoint 13 in the bin. Next, we just drop down here to waypoint 13. And once again, we're going to check the diagonal, but this time we want to get it as close as we can to the start point. And check the diagonal distance, 488 meters away. I'm going to leave that waypoint there. Now what I'm going to do is touch on the start point, and I'm going to move the start point to become one of the corners of our rectangle. So you can see there. So what I've done is I've created my search pattern, and the waypoint 13 to 14 is the return to home leg that the aircraft would fly. And we've put waypoint 14 as the position where we'll set the helipad. So when we approach the beach, you can see at the moment the controller's not at the waypoint location. we would walk so the controller indicator was directly over waypoint 14, and then we'd start our mission. So we've created the route itself, but we need to give it some detail. So I'm bringing those chevrons back to access the menu. The chevrons are over in the far right-hand corner. I'll touch on that, and I'm going to give this a name. So I'll just call it Umina. And I'm going to save that, and there's a little floppy disk icon there. So I'm just touching that. So it's saved. Name exists, so I'll call it waypoint Umina 1. And now I'll save it. Next I want to choose the aircraft, and this is a Mavic 3T. And we go to the next menu item, which is just here. There's a few things here that we can choose, but the way that we fly it, we're going to just change the speed. We might make it 6.5 meters per second. The altitude, we're going to reduce that to 60 meters. We want aircraft yaw manual, and we want gimbal control manual. Waypoint type, we want it to fly straight, and then the aircraft stops and turns. And what we want it to do, though we have programmed waypoint 13 to 14 as a return to home, we do want the aircraft to return to home. The takeoff speed, we're going to drop it down to 8 meters per second. What that is once you take off, do your control checks and start climbing to the start point, you can stop and activate the mission. Well, that takeoff speed is the speed that will fly from where you've stopped to activate the mission to the start point. So just going back there, I'll just change this. Test at Umina, and that's ticked. And now I'll save it. And you can see that now we've created this waypoint route for our search pattern. We've gone 370 meters each way from our start point. And if you look at the distances that we've travelled, we've come offshore approximately 275 meters offshore. And we've ensured by checking the diagonals that we've not exceeded our 500 metre maximum distance. So that's how we create a waypoint route in the Mavic 3 Enterprise. And if we just go back using the chevron at the top left-hand corner, we can see over to the left our test Umina route that we've programmed.